The numbers didn't count. The 3, 2, 1 countdown didn't happen for me right away. I was waiting. I was waiting. I was waiting. Everybody, welcome to Revenue Through Reputation show. I'm the host, Brandon Lee, and today is the last episode of season number 1. So we started this new show in January, as we get through 6 months of the year. I'm going to take a couple weeks off. And, it's summertime. A lot of y'all are traveling anyway. So, we'll take a few weeks off and then regroup. And I'm not sure what's going to happen afterwards. I'm thinking of changing the name a little bit. I'm thinking of content shifting just a little bit. And today I want to tell you why. I want to talk about why this shift is happening, what's going on in revenue creation from what I see, what I'm reading, what I'm hearing, what I'm talking about with people, specifically around content and using content as a medium to grow our reputations and our networks. So before we get too far along, if you are on the podcast and you're listening, maybe you're on a treadmill, you're sweating, you're listening to it. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. If you like what you hear, I would be very grateful for a review. And if you really like it, you think, hey, I need to share this with somebody. These cool things we have with phones, you can grab a screen capture and, text it to somebody and say, I was listening to this guy. He's not so bad. He's got a few good things to say. Some things you might want to ignore, but there's a few good things. I'm just kidding. Whatever you want to say, if it's something you want to share with somebody, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're on with any of the videos, we are on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube, we are not on Instagram today. I don't know if we're on Facebook today or not, but LinkedIn and YouTube, those are my primary channels. If you're on and I'm live, well, join me. Like, throw in a comment, tell me what you're thinking, tell me where you're from. And so I could wave and say hi, and I won't feel like I'm just all alone here. It's 4th of July week here in the United States, the 4th of July. Like, everybody gets the 4th of July. That was one of my favorite. In 5th grade, I had a teacher that always did like a daily, like, little brain teaser. And I fell for this one. And so I always remembered it. The question was, do they have a 4th of July in the UK? And I was like, no, because the 4th of July is American Independence Day. Well, the answer is yes, because July 4th, everybody has a July 4th. We just happen to celebrate it as a holiday. But it got me. And I always remember it because it got me. So anyway, we have the 4th of July on Friday. And I think a lot of people are out traveling this week or getting prepared for a 3-day weekend. So let's get to the important stuff today. What has been the key themes from the show, and what has been going on in the first 6 months of 2025? I discovered, my friend Tom Burton, co-host of my other show, shared with me an article from demandgenreport.com. And if you want it, I can throw it in the comments or shoot me a message and I'll send it to you. But it's really, really insightful. And for me, I was thinking like, well, it's about time. Because I felt this shift. I saw the shift coming, but I know change is scary. And so people wait a while, and we don't want to change too soon. We don't want to change too late, but generally we humans are adverse to change. But this report, and I forget how many people were surveyed, but it was all B2B leaders, sales, marketers, but they had 96% of the respondents said that they are revising their company's strategies due to economic headwinds, AI, and a generational shift. So what exactly does that mean? Hey, Butch, thanks for joining us today. So let me repeat that. The Demand Gen reports had 96% of respondents, which, right, super high. They are changing their company's go-to-market strategies because of economic headwinds, AI, and generational shifts. So let's talk a little bit about these. AI, we all get it, right? Whether it's Gen AI or AI for other analytics or AI for lead generation with email outreach, all that stuff. Hey, the AI tools, man, they're sexy, right? I mean, it's easy to get excited about these. Like, oh my gosh, it's going to do more. It's going to be more personalized. The thing is, what I've seen, it's not much different than what we've done before. We're using the same motions. We're using a lot of cold outreach. We're doing a lot of cold email automation. We've got more personalization, which is great, but it's still the model of do more, faster, cheaper. And the strategy behind it is a numbers game. We just get in front of more people, then more people will come to us and we'll fill our pipeline. I'm not making a commentary on it. Yay, nay, good, bad, or indifferent at this point. Years ago, I would have said a lot of the marketing and automation, I poo-pooed it. Even though it was still working, I poo-pooed it because I would kept saying, like, I kept believing, like, this isn't going to work much longer. We're killing the channel of email. We're killing the channel of LinkedIn direct message because of all of these cold, unwanted, generic, mass-produced messages. So that's my concern around AI at this point for lead gen, around content creation. The same concern, generative AI, it still takes time and effort and a human to make it sound the right way. There's just so much bad Gen AI content. And the model is move fast, create content, and publish it. But if it sounds like AI, it walks like AI, it smells like AI, well, our human brain filters are just going to dismiss it and keep moving on. As whether we're going through a LinkedIn feed, or we're looking at emails, like oh man, feels like AI, and we just move on. And we move on pretty quickly. So that's one of the challenges around AI. I know everybody says, oh, it doesn't sound like AI. Hey, I think there's some good tools out there. I think one of the best compliments we got over the past several months was a new fist bump customer of ours. He said he was really worried about the commenting tool, the AI tool that we built. And he said, man, I look at some of the comments before they go out and I'm like, did I write that? Or did my twin write that? So I think AI is getting really good in those capacities, which is great. But these are the areas that teams are saying they are shifting: economic reasons, AI, and generational shifts. So here's one of the big things I want to talk to, and this is about the revenue through reputation. 90% of the companies reported that they are encouraging all of their team members, not just senior leaders, to invest in time and resources for being a thought leader with LinkedIn posts, YouTube videos, and even conference participation. The same study also said that companies were increasing their budgets towards live events. And so what's this shift mean? This is the important part that we're seeing here. The shift is going back to human. Now, a lot of you might be listening, if you're like me, we never left human to human. But in some industries and a lot of the tools out there have shifted to mass automation and mass messaging and cold outreach and BDRs, pounding phones and all of that. But the shift is happening to more human-to-human relationship building. That's why 90% reported that they're encouraging not just senior executives, but the entire team to invest time and resources into what they're calling thought leadership. Now, I don't love the term thought leadership. A lot of people will dismiss pretty quickly, oh, I'm not a thought leader. We can talk about that. We're all thought leaders because we have our own unique experiences. If we can get over the imposter syndrome and we can get the courage to share from our own experiences, it doesn't matter if you've got 6 months experience or you've got 60 years experience in an industry. when you share from your own experience. This is what I've lived. This is what I've learned. This is what I'm living, what I'm learning. You can use these platforms to create content to build your reputation. Which, as you guys know, I much prefer the term reputation than thought leader. But, people like to coin terms. And so thought leader got coined and then morphed into 1,000 different definitions. And here we are. So, yeah, Brian, thanks for joining me. Yeah, human to human interaction is key. It always has been, is. So bringing this all back to the reputation, and Brian, thank you for saying that. It brought me right back focused where I wanted to go to. If human to human is key, we know that 90% of the companies are saying, go invest time in being thought leaders. What are they saying? They're saying we are not connecting fast enough or with enough people in order to create the right opportunities. So I want to pause there for a second, make sure that we see this. So 96% of companies said they're changing their outreach strategies. They're saying it's due to economic headwinds, AI, and generational shifts. So economic headwinds, we can't afford to put a whole bunch of BDRs or a bunch of people pounding phones that aren't giving us an ROI. That's what economic headwinds mean. I get it. There's stuff going on that there are economic headwinds. But, a couple of years ago, or I can't remember exactly when it was, maybe a year ago, I spoke with a technology sales leader, and he had said that they did the data over a few year period, and their BDRs had a 99% close loss rate. Close loss rate. What does that mean? Their cold outreach, their cold calling, their cold emails had a 99% loss rate. When they looked at the numbers at what they spent versus what they made, it was a no-brainer, and they let go of the entire BDR team. Now, what they did was they outsourced it, and about 9 months later, they realized that wasn't doing anything, so they outsourced it to a new company, and that wasn't working. So they hired a new person to come in and start training their own BDR team again, and that didn't work. I think that was the end of the story for me, from what I heard. I think actually my friend who was a sales leader ended up leaving that company because of the insanity of trying to do the same thing different ways, as I like to call the pedal faster phenomenon. Just, it worked before, just keep doing it again. So, yeah. Hey, Brian, I really appreciate that comment. And that, you probably just kind of summarized everything I'm trying to say or not trying. I plan to say today is we try to market and interact on non-human levels, but digital is just a human disguised as a hologram. It's what I think is, Brian, thank you for adding that, is digital gives us this opportunity to control the best that we can our reputation by what we share or by not showing up. I like to come back to LinkedIn through the lens of a networking event. Everyone in your industry is going to be there, if not today, tomorrow, or next week. They're all there. Your buyers, your partners, your competitors, everybody's there. And I just got a note from my awesome producer for the podcast listeners. Brian said, it's so funny how we try and market or interact on non-human levels. Digital is a human disguised as a hologram. That's what I was responding to if I didn't read that. Thank you, Nor, if I forgot that. That's bad, Brandon. You got to read these things for the podcast listeners. So you think about it as a networking event. Everyone's there. They show up at some point or another. Everybody's got a badge on, their name, their title, their company, so we can see who everybody is. Just like whether it's a networking event or a conference, how do you show up? That's the key, right? How we show up is going to determine the effectiveness of the event for us. Do we show up, have a plan, go and talk with people, not at people? Like, I mean, when was the last time in a live event that you're looking around, you see someone that got their name tag on, you're like, oh, that's the person I want to meet. And you walk up to them and you pull out your brochure and you put it in their face and go, hey, this is what we do. Do you have 30 minutes tomorrow for coffee so I could tell you more about it? Right? We never do that. We don't do that. Why don't we do that? Well, because it's dumb. I mean, that's why it's dumb. In human nature, in human relationship, in human communication, that's just dumb. And we know that. We know that in real life, we would, like, very few people do it. And I got a story of a woman that did do it, and it just didn't work well at all, as you would imagine. But we don't do that in real life because it's not effective. And if what Brian and I are saying is true, which it is, this is just an extension of who we are as people. So we have to act the same way. So coming into LinkedIn, are we going and commenting on other people's posts? Are we looking at the side of the room and go, oh, wow, there's a bunch of people over there who I want to know, and they're all having a conversation. I'm going to go join the conversation. I'm going to go listen to what they're talking about, and then see if I can invite myself in by saying something intelligent or asking a question, and then becoming part of that circle or that conversation that's taking place. That's what we innately do in live events. This is what we have been taught, trained, practiced for a long time. There wasn't an excuse, at least from when I started in sales, there was no excuse for me to be able to go, I'm just not very good at networking events, and so I'm just not going to go. No, there was no excuse for that. There was go get better, learn how to ask questions, learn how to go and introduce yourself to people, learn how to be conversationalist, right? This is what we did. We learned skills because live networking events, meeting people was so important to our success and the success of our company that we had to figure it out. And yet we hear so many times like, oh yeah, we tried LinkedIn, it didn't work. Oh, did you go to a single networking event and you didn't, get a bunch of POs fly out of the sky and land in your pocket and go, woohoo, success, and then go, what? Networking events don't work. No, what the data from this demand gen report is telling us is that a lot of the cold outreach, and I'm not against cold outreach, I prefer warm outreach, and I'll define that here in a second. But what they're saying is all this cold outreach, because so many companies are doing it now, all the emails and the cold call automation and everything. I mean, hey, when was the last time you answered a phone call from somebody that you didn't know? You didn't recognize the number. Did you actually answer it? Most of us don't. Cold emails going into spam, or we look at it. I mean, the human filter, right? What do we all do the first thing when we look at our email, whether you look in the morning or whenever you look at it? What do? Our human filter goes and looks at it and goes, get rid of everything that I don't want to pay attention to. Find the things that are important because I'm in a hurry. I want to be efficient and I don't want to go through and read all this crap that I didn't ask for. So we go click, 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 mass delete. Oh, here's one from Bob. Oh, here's one from Sally, people I know. And we respond to those. So if that's true for you, if that's the way you attack your email in the morning, what do you think that your buyers are doing? The same freaking thing. So I said, I'm not opposed to cold outreach, but I prefer warm outreach. This whole show is called Revenue Through Reputation because what I found over the years is the better your reputation, for me, the better my reputation, the more my reputation grew, the more revenue we created because I had more conversations with more opportunities, with more referrals, just more. And how did I grow my reputation? I showed up, went to the events, learn how to be a conversationalist, learn how to ask questions. I mean, I remember this one, maybe some of you guys remember it. I don't even remember where I learned it from, but I had 3x5 cards that were called my back pocket questions. And these were questions that I could use as a cheat sheet to go up and talk to people. I was so nervous when I first started doing, this type of networking. Those are back pocket questions. Pull them out, read them, put them back in your pocket, walk up, introduce yourself, and start asking questions. We focused on the skill because we knew the environment, the medium, the channel was so important to our success. So, Brian, you're a rock star today, man. Let me read this. Read this for everybody, especially in the podcast. My favorite thing to do when talking with anyone, networking at church, at the gym, I love hearing what makes people tick, what makes them passionate. That is more of a pleasure to me, more pleasure than me ever contributing my piece of the conversation, more pleasure than me ever contributing my piece of the conversation. Brian, that is so spot on. And one of the things when I learned about creating the back pocket questions, and I taught this to my sales teams over the years, it was topics that were important to me because I wanted to be genuine, but it was about them. And Brian, I think that's what you're saying there. Like these are topics like you say you want to hear that makes them tick. I bet you're passionate about that and you probably care about that for yourself. So it's a topic that is important to you, but you make it about them. Love that. Tish Valdez, I am going to read this for everybody on the podcast as well. Tish, I love you. You're such a sister to me, and I love that we get to do business together. So I agree with you, Brandon. We are all thought leaders. When I facilitate leadership programs, I make a distinction between thought leader and thought leader. Notice the capitalization. Yes, 1,000% yes, Tish. Yeah, and so let's talk a little bit about that. I don't want to get fully off this. I'm going to pause. Gather yourself, Brandon, gather yourself, getting too excited. I want to talk about that thought leader with capitals and thought leader without capitals in a second, but I want to finish this thought. We have to learn the skills that we need to learn to be successful for ourselves and for our companies. And one of the things that I've seen for way too long, is punting or kicking LinkedIn down the curb, like down the street. Anybody else play kick the can as a kid? Love that game, especially at night. But we just kicked the can down the street. Like, oh, we tried LinkedIn, it didn't work. Oh, our marketing team's posting a bunch of stuff. Oh, hey, we get really good engagement on our content. And then you look at it and it's like 90% of the people that liked it were your employees. And very few comments. I get that this whole like putting ourselves out there it's intimidating. It's scary. Going to networking events for me when I first started scared the absolute crap out of me. But it wasn't an option. Yeah, Dale Carnegie. Love it. Dale Carnegie. Yes, thanks, Brian. Brian was just referencing Dale Carnegie on there. My friend Neville, who owns the franchise for Dale Carnegie in North Carolina, he's South African, but he pronounces it Carnegie, not Carnegie. Anyway, when we have new skills that we have to learn that are important to us, we learn them. For far too long, I think most companies have just kicked it down the street because it's scary. It's hard to put ourselves out there. But let's address what Tish wrote about thought leader with capitals and thought leaders versus without capitals. And this is really important to this changing landscape of leadership visibility. And look, if you're a leader, my encouragement to you is you need to do this to keep leading. If you're not a high level leader in a company, you're not an owner, you're not a sales leader, you're not, customer success leader, but you want to be someday, this is probably the fastest way to accelerate your own growth. Meet more people, become known by more people. And the way that we do that in 2025 is through these digital channels where we can get in front of thousands and thousands of people every day who get to hear our thoughts with a lowercase t and get to know us before we ever get to know them. This is where opportunity happens. Like this is where life gets exciting inside of relationships. I was talking with some people last week in job hunt mode. And I said, "What are you doing on LinkedIn?" "Oh, I go in every now and then and I look for people and I'll send some connection requests and I'll ask for some intros." I'm like, "That's good. That's really good. You want to do it better. You want to do it better. Post and share your journey." Because first of all, and I don't know if the numbers have changed much, but I've had in my head for a long time that it was like 98% of people that were registered on LinkedIn did not create content on a regular basis, which means the 2% that did, big old playing field of people to get to know you, to build your reputation, to build your network, to become more known by more people so that when you do call them, this is that warm outreach thing, right? They see you, they see your content, you're commenting on other people's content, you're writing your own content, people are engaging with it, learning from it. And then when you call them or people on your team call them, guess what happens? Oh, I know you guys. Yeah. We stand out from the noise. Yeah, I share a lot of different stories, and one of my favorites with Chris Dunn, who's a friend and a customer of ours. He sent a cold email out to somebody who responded with, "Hey, Chris, yeah, let's schedule a call. I feel like I already know you because of everything you put on LinkedIn." And if you haven't seen it, Chris was on my show last week. Was that last week? 2 weeks ago? Oof, time flies. But he was talking about he had over $400,000 in new revenue in like an 18-month period directly through his LinkedIn activity because people either said yes to a call because they recognized him and knew him in quotes from LinkedIn, or people that sent him messages because they were watching his content, paying attention to his content, felt like they knew him, or in one case, got to know him again, somebody he hadn't, talked to in over 10 years. When the email comes in or the direct message comes in that says, "Hey, been paying attention to you." I mean, his was great. Like, "Hey, Chris, been paying attention to your content. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how big your kids have gotten and they're graduating from college. And I remember when they were so small and da 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 da. Hey, by the way, my company has a need and I think you can help us." Never would have got that if he wasn't actively sharing this on LinkedIn, sharing his journey, sharing his thought leadership without capitals. Brian, you're right. Human equals spelling errors. By the way, I'm hearing more people talk about intentionally adding spelling errors into their messages so people know it's human. Oi, where have we gotten to? Where have we gotten to? But yeah, human equals spelling errors. So let's get to this leadership visibility, and I'm gonna wrap us up with this, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit about next steps with the show because I really appreciate to hear from you guys. Like, what has been valuable in this? What do you want me to keep talking about? What do you want me to bring? I'm looking at what different types of guests I've got. Let's see, Heath Barnett from Mixology is going to come on soon, and he's going to talk about why he started his show and his podcast and how they're planning to use the content. And he's also going to share some of the struggles that they had with not just getting it launched, but then maintaining it and staying focused on it. So I want to bring people that are sharing their stories of actually trying to grow their reputation through these digital channels, and the good, the bad, the ugly. But as we move into talking about this changing landscape of leadership visibility. It's rapidly changing because number one, it has to. It has to. What I mean by that is think about yourself. What brand messages actually capture your attention? Now, I'm not talking B2C, right? You're a big Coke fan. You see Coke things. You're like, oh my gosh. You see Disney things. Oh my gosh, Nike. You see, like, there's some great brands out there that have just captured our hearts and we're loyal to them forever. I mean, Apple for a lot of people. But in B2B, what brands are capturing your attention? But let me ask this counter question. What humans, what people are capturing your attention? And which one captures your attention more? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's people, right? People are going to capture our attention because our human heart resonates with other human hearts. We don't naturally resonate with brands. I mean, brands that connect with us at the heart, they're so good at creating emotion that's how they get from a brand to our human heart. But in B2B, the fastest, easiest way is connect with real people because that's what we are programmed to do in our humanity. So that's why this landscape around leadership visibility is changing so quickly. If you want, I love this, Carson Hetty with Microsoft, who's one of my other co-hosts on Mastering Modern Selling show. He always says, if there's something just I can do for just that much more to increase my probability of success, I'm going to do it. And if you guys don't know Carson, go follow him, man. Dude is phenomenally successful selling for the largest company in the world. Like, who else should you be following and paying attention to this stuff? But his commitment is, if there's something I can do that's going to increase my probability of success, I am going to figure it out and do it. I'm going to come all the way back to this report, the demand gen report I've been referring to. Companies are changing quickly their go-to-market because buyers have changed so quickly. The one thing I didn't really dig deep on, and I probably don't have to, but they're changing because of economic headwinds, AI, and generational shifts. The big one for most of us should be looking at generational shifts because the millennials and the Gen Zers are changing the B2B buying game because they now have purchasing power. If you're a little bit older and you're looking going, gosh, some of the buyers are my kids' age. Man, they've been raised very differently. Now, like Brian was saying earlier, and I've been saying earlier, the human to human hasn't changed, but the medium, the channel of building human to human has totally changed. Like I love events. I love going to networking events now. I love going to conferences. I love the opportunity to meet lots of people, but there's only so many of those you can do in a week and in a month and in a year. The digital equivalent is what you're looking at right now, what you're listening to right now if you're on the podcast. It's these digital mediums that allow us to share our journey and to be in front of thousands of people. So leadership visibility, I want to leave you something practical. If you're looking at all this and you're like, you know what, I know I should, send it to your boss, send it to your CEOs, be like, hey, if you do this is going to help me sell more. Man, I love Alice Hyman, friend of mine, if you guys know her. She says that if you're a CEO and you are not active on LinkedIn, you are a sales preventer. Whew, strong words, right? You are a sales preventer if you're not active. Because if you're not strategically bringing your human, your personality, your thought leadership with lowercase t and l to LinkedIn, you're not helping your team open more doors, talk to more people. Whew, big stuff. So how do we do this? It's hard, but it's easy. The hardest part is getting over ourselves. For me, it took me a long time. I mean, just, the imposter syndrome I carry, the shame that I carried, the things that I hid behind, always try to look best and be important and never let them see you sweat and never let them see you make a mistake. Oh my gosh. Not only was it exhausting, it just didn't work as well in life and in business. Whew. We can talk about therapy another time, but whew, praise God for therapy, man. The hard part is getting over our happy selves. Look, you're going to have some people that are out there that judge you. Doesn't matter if you write content on LinkedIn or not. It doesn't matter if you do a show or not. People are going to judge you. It's just part of life. What we really need to do is surround ourselves with our encouragers and our supporters so that their voices drown out the negative voices. So first step, we got to figure out how we can get comfortable with that. And maybe this will help you. I can share a couple of things. Number one, I like this as a starting point. It's just a little 3-touch framework to create content, to share your thought leadership without trying to be a thought leader. Step one is listen to the questions that are asked of you by customers or prospects throughout the week. Write them down, have a notebook, write them down. But have your questions handy or just think for the week. What was the best question that was asked of me this week? Oh, yeah, when I was on with them and they asked, oh, that's a good one. So write down the questions and do this. I was asked, and write the question, by, and use their title and their industry. So I was asked, how can my team effectively use LinkedIn to create more pipeline by an enterprise sales leader in the tech space? There's my example, right? For you, I was asked, add the question, by, and add their title and or industry. Set the stage. Here's a question. Who asked it? Number two, this is an important, or this is a good, or this is a very relevant question because. Fill it in. Why is that so important? Because we learned this, right? I learned this in first grade from Mrs. Wilson. There are no stupid questions. I mean, sometimes there's stupid people that ask stupid questions. I'm just kidding. Mrs. Wilson never said that. First grade, Mrs. Wilson, but I remember learning, if you have the question, there's probably a lot of other people in the classroom that have the question. So ask it. Be the one that helps everybody else out by asking the question. So this is an important question because, and answer it. Because like Mrs. Wilson said, if one person asked it to you, there's probably 50 other people that are asking the same question to themselves. And if they're asking that question to themselves and you're the one that's answering it, or you're the one that's speaking about it, or you're the one that's creating the foundation or the platform for a bunch of people to talk about it, guess what? You become a thought leader in their mind. Step 3, here are 3 points to consider if you're also asking this question. And no pressure. It's 1, 2, 3, 5. Answer it the way you would answer it. Now, here's my best piece of advice of all this. When you go to write this, or if you want to do it in a video, I like on writing, what I like to do is close my eyes, picture the person who asked me or somebody else who's like them, a prospect who's asked me, and picture them standing right in front of me and asking it as a question, and then writing my response as if I was speaking to them instead of, I'm going to craft a message. Just speak it. Just speak it. Now, use AI, talk to your AI, do all that, whatever you need to do. But that's one of the best ways that anybody can start to create content and grow their reputation, grow their network, become more well-known, meet more people, have more conversations. I've just been a firm believer, and I've done this well in my career and I've done this poor in my career. And I'd like to say it was linear, that I was bad and progressively got better, but I was bad and I got a little better. Then I got bad again and all that. But opportunities come through personal relationships. Opportunities come through people. And so networking is so, so crucial for us. And the more people we know, the more opportunities we're going to have. Okay, I'm going to end it with this. Another practical way is think about, what are you living right now? What are you learning right now? When you share those things, it invites people into the conversation, it invites them in, it makes them want to connect with you. It becomes more emotional. As we talk about emotionally resonant content, does it resonate emotionally with them? When we're sharing, what am I going through? What am I thinking about? And before you think I'll go too far, I'm not saying open up full Komodo and be like, oh my gosh, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. No, what's going on in your business? Hey, when I look at the industry, this is what's happening. This is how I feel. So what are you living? What are you learning? What have you lived through? What have you learned in the past? And think about it from these lenses. What are you feeling? What are you observing? And what are you thinking? And you can do that in present tense or past tense. What did you think? What did you feel? What did you think or observe in the past when you were going through this? But that's a type of content that creates connection, because we're sharing our journey, sharing our experiences with people, and your experience and the way you think about it and the way you approached it and what you did and the results you got. That is all your uniqueifier. Nobody can take that away from you. And somebody may comment and go, man, that was a stupid decision. You're like, yeah, well, hey, I realized it in hindsight too. Thank you very little. But who cares? When you share your experiences like that, it invites people to build connection. So hey, we're going to wrap up this season of Revenue Through Reputation. We'll be back on July 15th. I don't know what the show is going to be called. I'm still trying to play around about, like, what is it that people really need? What do you all really need? What's the challenge? What are we trying to overcome? And I think it always comes down to how are we building pipeline? How are we creating opportunities? How are we talking to more people to give us an increased probability of being successful? That's what it comes down to. And then when I look at what are the obstacles in the way, man, number one is just the garbage that's between our ears, where we don't feel like we're good enough to do it. We don't feel like we have the credibility to talk. I don't feel like I have the credibility to have a show. I don't believe anyone's going to care what I say. I mean, that's the biggest challenge. And maybe we should focus on that with the beginning of season 2. But then we get into I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to do, or I don't have a plan. I don't have a strategy. I'm scared. What if I posted a few things and nobody responded? What do I do? And you know what? Get yourself into a community. I mean, if you don't do it with Fist Bump, that's fine. But get yourself in a community of people. I mean, I love it when we're talking about things and someone goes, "Oh my gosh, I did this and it was so bad," and you got other people like, yeah, been there, done that. You'll get over it. Lick your wound, move on. Like, it just makes us feel good. Like, oh, I'm not the only moron in the world that did this. Like, I'm not the only person in the world that stepped in this big pile of dog poo and made a mistake. Like, have community around you. It's one of the best ways to do it. And then number 3 is really just try, just start, just do it, just get going, make the mistakes, learn from it. I found over the years, the biggest critics to what I have done, and I think from what I've seen with other people, the biggest critics are the ones that really wish they could do it and just haven't gotten themselves out of the way to actually do it themselves. So I now flip the switch. I like to take criticism as a badge of honor. You want to do what I'm doing and you're just too scared to do it. Throw those stones, man. Bring them on. I just can. Sometimes I got to speak that way in my own head to myself to make me feel better and feel good and stay focused. So anyway, hey, Brian, Tish, Butch, Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for your comments and being a part of this show. For anyone else, if you're on the podcast, you're listening to this later. Hey, all the questions, they're there for you too. Add them in the comments. I'll see them. I'll come back, send me a direct message. What do you guys want me to do with the show? Where do you want it to go? I want it to be about you. I want to hear what you think it needs to be, what you need to be better in your job or running your company. And then I want to deliver that to you. So everybody, thank you so much. Let's see, Canadians, happy Canada Day. I had a couple of my friends go, hey, not going to make your show. It's Canada Day. And honestly, being on Canada Day out on a boat at their cottage was much more important than listening to me. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Thanks for the comments. And then for everyone in the U.S., happy 4th of July on Friday. Stay safe. Be careful with the fireworks and all that. I'm so excited for fireworks this year. I don't know why. Like my inner child was just like, fireworks are going to be fun. I'm going to take my daughter tonight and we're going to go load up on some fireworks and have some fun with it. So happy holidays to everybody. If you're anywhere else in the world, I know we got some folks in the UK and I got my team in Cairo. I got my team in Argentina, and we've got our first prospective customers coming in from Argentina, which is exciting. Vamos a tener clientes en español. I'm going to be able to start speaking more Spanish with work, which is really exciting and for me, and I can't wait. So we got really good stuff. I'm excited. Please continue to join us. Tell me what you need. Tell me where you'd like to see the show go, and we'll make it happen because I want to be here to serve you all. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.